scientific method is a series of steps used to investigate a problem in the natural world. I love my little picture of my crazy Einstein guy. And I have that picture for a point. I'm trying to make a point. Specifically, the scientific method is not just for crazy scientists inside some scientific laboratory. The scientific method is used every single day by you, by me, by your parents. It is just a logical problem-solving sequence. What's really cool about the scientific method is our brains are wired to do this. Our brains are wired to do this, whether you recognize that or not. You problem solve using the scientific method every single day. Here are the steps. We're going to kind of talk about these steps one by one, but just briefly, you state the problem or ask yourself the question. You observe and research the problem a little further. You form your hypothesis. You design an experiment to test the hypothesis. You organize and analyze the data. You form a conclusion, and then you communicate the results. Okay? Yesterday, whether you believe it or not, I called it the sneaky scientific method. It's the sneaky steps of the scientific method. Why did I use the word sneaky? Did you guys realize you were doing the scientific method yesterday? Did you realize it? As soon as I laid down the gauntlet, I put up the slide concerning the marble boat challenge. You guys all immediately had to quickly identify what the problem was. What was your question or problem for yesterday? What were you trying to figure out? Put your hands up if you think you know. Claire? Okay, so it had to do with the number of marbles. But what did you have to figure out? Because that was the winning prize, the number of marbles. What did you have to figure out first? Natalie? Yeah, Claire, you were just going at it the other direction, but you had to figure out what kind of structure, what should my boat look like so that it will float and hold the most marbles. So you guys can write this down in your notes. What kind of boat design will hold the most marbles? What kind of boat design will hold the most marbles? Now immediately, when I put that slide up there with the contest, what did your subconscious brain do? What do you think your subconscious brain started to think about? Elise?
The possibilities of what would happen.
Right. But what were you thinking about? If you're trying to solve the problem, what kind of boat design will hold the most marbles? What did your subconscious mind think about? What do you think? What do you think?
It thought about like different boat designs.
Yeah. You immediately, your subconscious mind started thinking about, well, there's cruise ships, there's barges, there's canoes, there's little sailboats. Okay, so your subconscious mind started thinking about boats. What else?
Like those able timbers.
Yeah, balance. Your mind started to think about things about floating and sinking. Your mind started to think about marbles. It started to think about modeling clay. All of these things, without you saying, okay, brain, we need to start step 2 of the scientific method. Now that we've identified the problem, now we need to start observing and researching. No. Step 2 of the scientific method, you guys are going to your filing cabinet. What do I mean by that? Go to your filing cabinet. What do I mean, Josie? Yeah, your previous knowledge. You all have great life experiences. You know a lot about boats. You know a lot about floating and sinking. You know a lot about what it would take to get that piece of modeling clay to float. You knew exactly what you were going to do. That's step 2 of the scientific method. Once I handed out your clay, what happened at each table? Put a piece of clay. What immediately happened, Elise?
We observed it.
I don't think people were observing it. They immediately started to do what with it? Yeah, everybody immediately started molding it and tried to start forming it into some kind of a boat. Okay? So that's the next step. You form your hypothesis. You predict a possible answer to the problem or question. So when I passed out that clay, inevitably, almost in every group, somebody picked up that clay and started to form it into a boat, some kind of shape. Everybody should be writing this stuff down. It goes right in your notes there. You've got a boat right in front of you. What did you automatically want to do? I'm telling you, our brains are hardwired for this. And Sonia, I'm sorry you weren't here yesterday for this, but you heard we tried to build boats out of modeling clay, and the boat that held the most marbles won. Okay? How many marbles did yours hold? 8. Okay. All right. What did you guys want to do when you got the clay, you've got a boat sitting in front of you? What did you want to do with that boat? What did you want to do, Claire? Yeah. Gosh, I think this is a really good boat design, but I don't even know if the darn thing is going to float or if it's going to sink. So you automatically want to test your hypothesis. You want to see if it's a good boat or if it's a bad boat. Does it float? I don't know. When you test the hypothesis, you need to develop a controlled experiment to see if there's a relationship between the variables. First of all, what is the relationship we're trying to figure out? What are the 2 things we're trying to figure out if there's a relationship? Think back to what our problem is. What are the 2 things we're trying to see if they're related? Josie?
Boat design and weight of marbles.
The number of marbles, okay? So that's the relationship we are exploring. The boat design and the number of marbles. Oopsie. Number of marbles the boat can hold. Okay? That's the relationship that we're going to test. What does it mean to be a controlled experiment? What does that mean? Controlled experiment. Yeah?
That there's only one variable that changes.
Nice job, young lady. Nice memory from last year. Okay, a controlled experiment means that one independent variable is being tested. Nice job. Means that only one independent variable is being tested. We are not testing the amount of clay and boat design and number of marbles that can be held. We're only testing the boat design and the number of marbles that can be held. So you tested your hypothesis, you put it into the water, and it was an epic failure. It sank immediately. What did you do? What did you do? Jordan, what did you do when you guys first put your boat in the water and it sank? Okay, you pulled it out of the water, you dried it off, and you changed it. You came up with a different hypothesis, a different boat shape. And then you tried that, and if it sank again, then you pulled it out of the water and you changed the shape again. And you continued to change the shape until you were pretty satisfied that you had a boat that had a fighting chance at winning the contest. All right, that happens in the real world many times after you've tested your hypothesis. You find out it's wrong, you go back and you try a different hypothesis, and you continue to do that until you are satisfied that your hypothesis is correct. Variables. This is the next box in your notes. Any factor that can affect the results of an experiment. In the clay boat challenge, what factors can affect the number of marbles the boat can hold? So the results of the experiment, the results that we're talking about, would be the number of marbles. Those are the results. So can we think about what are all the possible things that we can change that could affect the number of marbles the boat holds? Give me one, Maria. Okay, the distribution. Of the marbles. What else? There's lots, Brian.
How much clay we get?
Very good, the amount of clay. What else? We've got a lot, Jordan.
Size of the marble.
Very good. I'm just going to put marbles up here because we can talk about the size, the shape, the mass, what else? Oh, come on. There's lots. Josie? Very good. I'm going to just do water just like I did with the marbles because we can talk about the type, because I could use salt water or sugar water or distilled water, the amount. We can change the temperature. That might affect how many marbles the boat can hold. Elise?
The type of clay.
Very good. The type of clay. Uh-oh. Here goes my computer. Come on, baby. Catch up with me. There we go. Type of clay, I could give one group Play-Doh. I could give another group modeling clay. I could give another group that salt dough clay. Nice job. Yes. Very good. The size of the boat. And we can't forget boat design. right? Because that's actually the one we ended up testing, the boat design. So, we've got the number of marbles. That is the dependent variable. We'll talk about this in a minute. The independent variable that we studied, the independent variable is the boat design. What are all of these other things that we just listed? What do we call all of these other variables that we just listed? What's another name for them? Can you guys remember from last year, Claire? Controlled variables, very good. So the X, everything with green, those are the controlled variables. And, oh, shoot, my computer's not keeping up with me. Variables. The other name for those are constants. Constants. Okay, the controlled variables or constants. We're going to be talking about all of these things here in just a minute. I'm just kind of giving you an overview. But the independent variable is the boat design. The dependent variable is the number of marbles. And all of the other items with green, those are the things that we've got to keep the same so that it's a fair contest. Right. All right, so independent and dependent variable. Let's start off here with our definition of independent variable. The independent variable or the manipulated variable is a factor that's intentionally changed by the experimenter. I will always abbreviate this when I can, independent variable. In my own words, the independent variable is what, come on, computer, stick with me, baby. What I am personally in charge of changing or doing in an experiment. What I am personally in charge of changing or doing in an experiment. The other thing, because I know you guys are great in your reading classes and your English classes, reading for cause and effect, right? The independent variable is the cause. So in the Marble Boat Challenge, the independent variable is the boat design. The dependent variable, or sometimes referred to as the responding variable, is the factor that may change as a result of the changes made in the independent variable. In my own words, the dependent variable is the reaction for response to the changes I did. in the experiment. It is the effect. Independent variable is the cause. The dependent variable is the effect. And the underlying portion here is really important. If you're having trouble figuring out what the dependent variable is, the dependent variable is what is being measured or observed in the experiment. What were we measuring yesterday in our experiment, in the Marble Boat Challenge? What were we measuring yesterday? Maddie? The number of marbles. Very good. So that is my dependent variable, the number of marbles. That is what we were measuring. That is the dependent variable. And then last but not least, constants. The constants in an experiment are all of the factors that the experimenter attempts to keep the same. Constants can sometimes be called controlled variables. So, the only change, only difference is the independent variable. Everything else is the same. Everything else has to be the same.
Good afternoon, Harmon Middle School. Our announcement for Thursday afternoon. Hey, good luck to the girls' soccer team today. If they play at home against Hudson, kickoff is at 4 p.m. That's late. If you have an opportunity, please come out and cheer on the girls' soccer team. It's sure to be a great battle tonight. In an effort to cut down on classroom interruption,